mistakes, and he always puts his teammates first, making sure everyone touches the ball. And on the other side, Sterling Young, coach said he recruited him with a lot of expectations, and he fulfilled those expectations when he put him in the other game against TCU. He says he brings a real spark to the team. He's hoping for him to rise to the occasion once again here tonight.
Sterling Young nearly got a bucket right off the bat by winning the tip. Thank you so much, Bree. We are underway here in Dallas. The SMU Mustangs with a big win on Mondays. They took down Tarleton State at Florida A&M, losing in Fort Worth on Monday as well. This guy was amazing. Cario Oquendo, the transfer from Oregon, tries to take it to the rack but comes up short. He had 16 points for the Mustangs on Monday.
And 2 of them ended up on SportsCenter, John. I'm sure you remember those very well.
High rising dunk.
Yeah, plays above the rim, strong, athletic, tough guard.
Saeed Burnside picks up a start. In fact, for FAMU, we'll give you their lineup here in a moment. 4 of their 5 starters did not start night 1 against TCU as they try to figure out who their best 5 are together. But SMU is in the same type of boat. It's early this season as Keon Ambrose Hilton runs to the rim, has trouble laying it home.
Yeah, that's one of the things Ambrose Hilton does so well. He runs the floor as a big, the first down the floor. Great job getting it up early. SMU definitely loves to play fast.
What the Mustangs did really well on Monday is starting the game with energy. He's coming off that screen. Sterling Young pulls up and hits the 3.
Yeah, wasted no time. He got on, almost got those 2 points on the jump, like you said. 3-point shooting is a big key for them, and he hits that one.
Yohan Traore wide open inside as we look at the FAMU starting 5. Sterling Young getting the start. In fact, Milton Matthews, number 5, the only Rattler who got the start at TCU. Everybody else came off the bench. What do you think that says, Brian?
I mean, Coach talked about how competitive their practice was. He said they had one of their best practices of the year, obviously an early year. But TCU got their attention, and it looks like Coach is rewarding the guys who are competing and putting in effort that he wants.
It was a tough practice. It was a physical practice. Boopie Miller can't hit at the rim. Keon Ambrose Hilton keeping it alive and keeping it with SMU.
Yeah, just extra effort there. Can't get your hands all the way on the ball, but just tipping it. Ambrose Hilton playing with a motor, and good defense early on by FAMU, just being able to hold ground. I don't know if they had to lead the entire game last game, so it's a good start for FAMU.
The SMU starting lineup includes Cario Oquendo, who lays it home from Boopie Miller, Edwards, Miller, Oquendo, Traore, and then Ambrose Hilton stepping in for Matt Cross. He is out with back spasms. He left in the 2nd minute of that matchup against Tarleton. Letting players fly by. Saeed Burnside laying it home. He had 8 points, 5 rebounds at TCU Monday. SMU wants to get it up the floor in 4 seconds. That's exactly what they do here.
Yeah, pushing off of a make, and great job by Young on the other end for FAMU. Getting to the paint, creating, and dishing for an easy layup inside. FAMU coach talked about execution. Coach Carey talked about, and they've executed so far, but they must transition after a make because SMU Mustangs wasting no time.
And this is one of the best athletes in college basketball right now. Cario Oquendo started his career at Georgia, was there for a couple years. Well, started his D1 career at Georgia, then on to Oregon last year where he was on an NCAA team and showed some of that leadership, not only vocally, but I think just also the energy he brought to the floor on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, just a competitor. Obviously, you see his size and his strength. A guy who's won at a high level, he's produced at a high level, and he wants to help SMU get off to a great start in this new Andy Enfield era.
SMU also good defensively against Tarleton, forcing 23 turnovers. Ambrose Hilton stays right with Sterling Young to get the swat.
Yeah, part of what makes Ambrose Hilton so good, he's just so good of a ball screen defender. He can switch onto a guard and be able to keep him in front and then contest and block at the rim.
2 blocks on Monday in a victory over Tarleton. Out of the corner, Matthews rises and hits. Milton Matthews, the lefty, coming over with Patrick Prairie from NAIA St. Thomas in the Miami Gardens area.
Yeah, 2 years of making 100 threes or more. A guy who's a big-time sniper. They know three-point shooting is the key. And speaking of a key, little dunk in the lane. Big-to-big pass off the double team.
That's how you pass out of a double team. Ambrose Hilton throws one down. Let's take a look at our keys to the game for today's action as we're tied up early on at 8. Brian, what do you got?
Yeah, making a 3. I mean, very simple. They've already done that here tonight better than they did before. And in defending the paint, you just saw SMU get a dunk. They can't allow those easy ones. playing hard for 40 minutes, a big key for Coach Enfield's club. There you see a three go down, and then dominating on defense. So far, FAMU has been able to execute and be comfortable beyond the arc, and that opens up the rest of the floor for Coach Carey's squad.
These are two teams that really want to play a pro-style offense, lots of pick and roll, lots of coming off the screens, lots of threes.
Yes, absolutely. Spacing the floor, letting players be able to play in space. But if you aren't making those threes, Coach Carey talked about this against TCU, it makes it hard. Where do we go from here? So they started out making threes, which now makes their inside game much better.
And hopefully really makes them comfortable. They're going to have to be comfortable in Moody Coliseum, a tough place to play. And Matthews gets fouled by Keon Ambrose. Hilton fouled shooting a three as we hit the first break. That's the first on Ambrose Hilton. And Florida A&M hanging right with the Mustangs in the first ever matchup between these two in Dallas. Welcome back to Dallas. Patrick Traore II, maybe new to Division I, but not new to college basketball.
Yeah, Coach Traore, just a friend of mine and somebody who's a great example of what college basketball is all about. Started at a lower level, coached NAIA, won 6 championships and had 6 21 seasons, 6 NAIA tournament appearances, and comes directly from the NAIA level to the Division I level as a head coach. And you can already see how they've started this game. He has a command as a leader, has done a good job identifying talent and having, I mean, look at the size of the young men. They don't look like they don't belong, right? They look like a real competitive Division I basketball team against an ACC team. So coach has had a lot of success and definitely going to do a tremendous job there at FAMU turning around that program.
Well, and there's such a huge fan base, a huge base of alumni all across the country, including here in DFW, the 4th largest metro area. And so they're going to have to play a lot of games on the road against power programs. Thankfully, they'll have that pot of fans there the whole way with them that want to see them do well.
Yeah, they'll definitely be battle tested by the time they get to conference play. And he's got the right approach to keeping these young men's attention to the little things the game within the game and seeing if they can just keep competing.
A couple new players in for SMU, including Jarrell Colbert, the transfer from Kansas State. He had a tough one on Monday where he fouled out in 7 minutes, but gets his first 2 there.
Yeah, he's glad to be back in Texas. He's a Houston product. Went to LSU first and then Kansas State. They believe he's a young man who can be a defensive player of the year in this conference. There you see a little bit of his paint contest on the drive, but Florida A&M, you have to give them so much credit of their poise right now. They're not rattled. They've been in a game similar, and they've made the adjustments of maybe being a little bit shocked, as Coach Crary talked about, going into that game of how fast and how tough and how physical a Power 5, Power 4 conference team can be, and they've come in and been really, really poised so far.
Lost big Monday at TCU. Jamie Dixon's team. One thing Patrick Curry said is I kind of picked myself. I look over and I'm coaching against Jamie Dixon and I'm coaching against Andy Enfield, and I'm like, man, a decade ago I would not have believed you.
No doubt. That's what college basketball is all about. Not only do players get to move up and transfer up to this higher level, but now you see coaches that have been proven successful at lower levels getting the opportunity to do it on the big stage. 7
early points for Milton Matthews, who, like we said, came over, transferred in from St. Thomas, along with Coach Crary. Open 3 out of the corner. Miller rims it out. Traore is called for the foul, going after the rebound to give the ball back to the Rattlers.
Good attack against the zone by SMU, though. Got it inside the free throw line where you always want to play inside out against the zone. Got a wide open look from one of your best shooters, just barely rims out. And give credit again to FAMU, competing on the glass with a physical blockout, draws the foul.
What do you expect from SMU this season defensively?
Yeah, I think as Coach Enfield has talked about in press conferences, they're going to continue to get better and better on that end of the floor. I think they have the length, the switchability, they have the speed at guard. I think they're going to be a much more competitive team than people expect in the ACC.
So they were picked number 13 out of 18 teams in the ACC. Jordan Chapman, who's a good rebounder, 6'4" guard, picks up the foul. So he was trying to go up and over the smaller Boopie Miller. He picks up his first and comes out of the matchup. 14:35 left in the first half, along with Brian Burton and Brianna Sorensen. I'm John Little. SMU's second ever game as part of the ACC. An American program for the last decade. Had a lot of success there, and now with Andy Enfield as the coach, trying to recreate that and be even more successful here at a Power 4 conference. A little bit out of control for Milton Matthews, and he turns it over.
Yeah, I had to adjust earlier. I said Power 5. I was like, oh yeah, it's 4. It's a new.
You got to downshift a little bit.
It's a new era in college basketball. Good job here by Miller. Doesn't get the steal, but forces the turnover. A little bit of a gamble, but knew that his veteran wily presence stepped up on that stop.
Barely out of bounds, not by much. Oquendo, who hasn't been a great three-point shooter in his career, just off the back of the rim, and it falls off. FAMU, the early lead here on the road.
Yeah, you asked about what kind of team can SMU be defensively too. I think part of it is getting to play with each other, but they also have a couple of key players that haven't even suited up yet. So the sky is the limit for what this team can become. You've already seen them put up 96 points in the opener. You know they can score, held the opponent under 70. So a lot of upside and potential for this Andy Enfield team.
Yeah, thinking about a couple of freshman bigs in Mitchell Holmes, who should be back in about a week, and they're also waiting on Samet Igatulu out of Turkey, who could end up playing a huge role for this team if they can get his eligibility situation worked out coming over from Europe. SMU confident it's going to get worked out with the NCAA. They're just waiting out the process right now.
Well, that's not even to mention one of their most experienced players in Cross, who transferred over, has already played in the ACC at Miami, came most recently from UMass, where he averaged about 15 and 9. So another experienced player that hasn't yet suited out for this Mustang team. A very deep team that they've been able to put together.
Yeah, Cross out thanks to back spasms after just 2 minutes on the opening night. So Oquendo going into the post had a great game on Monday, just announcing his presence. And he said he loved the atmosphere, loved the student section, loved playing in Dallas for the first time as a home competitor. For SMU, they were a program that Andy Enfield thought, yeah, coming into the season, our offense is going to be ahead of the defense. We got a lot of different dudes who can score. They had 6 different guys scoring double digits.
Yeah, it's been a long time since a team at SMU on the Hill has been able to have that kind of point production from that many players. So, again, we talked about some of the players that have not really been able to play yet. 6 of them still scoring in double figures speaks to the depth and the offensive firepower on this club.
Yeah, not since 2015 for SMU, and they've had some good teams between then and now. After the contest, Florida A&M to inbound, 20 to shoot it. FAMU doing a much better job starting off the game. It's got to go back to, just like you said, being used to playing in this kind of environment against this type of team, and then also the incredible practice they had between games this week. As Washington can't can the three, Colbert comes down with the rebound, and SMU always wanting to push. Chuck Harris, one of only 3 returning players for SMU, leading the point guard spot right now. 2-man game with Colbert, double. Miller creating space. Miller on the floater from the elbow, rings it up.
There's a high-level shot from an experienced guard that scored a lot of buckets in his career.
SMU has made 5 of their last 7. Boopie Miller, 21 points on Monday. It was his 16th career 20-plus point game. Another foul on Colbert. He continues to struggle with foul trouble early on in his SMU career.
And what a great story with Miller, too. I mean, a Chicago kid being able to come back to a city, but they didn't expect to have to sign. But then they had SMU had a transfer late with Zurich Phelps leaving to go to A&M, and then it opened up a spot for Miller and couldn't have been a better fit. He felt like, he said he hit it off right away with Coach Enfield and their staff, already going back to the ACC, coming from Wake Forest, and you can already see he's going to be a special player here in Dallas.
Star at Wake Forest last year, 16 points a game. Also helped lead the team in assists. See A&M trying to create that spacing. FAMU in the post, Burnside backs his way in with 5 to shoot and hits the hook shot.
Tell you what, you talked about the practice that they had, but you have to give a lot of credit to also the buy-in from this team to listen to the coaches, and you can see the energy on the sideline, and the way that they're playing is very much from that time of probably film, being able to have a lot of real good conversations in between and teaching moments. They've been very impressive so far in this first 8 minutes.
You got a lot of guys coming from different types of programs. Some JUCO guys, some NAIA, some from other programs that are mid-majors as well. And it takes a while to learn how to play together, trust each other, and probably play to the level of intensity you need, as Boopie Miller is very familiar with the intensity of the ACC. The and 1 for SMU.
Yeah, just never gets rattled. You never see his body language change too much. Great finish with the hoop and the harm before the break.
SMU swings back in front in Dallas. They've made 6 of their last 8. Boopie Miller says he can get to the paint anytime he wants, and now's that time.
Toss it. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Back and,
okay.
you know, let's tell us.
John and Brian, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I was about to say, if you guys want to go over coach's college resume, and then if one of you can pass it to me and say, but he or something about him getting his start in the NBA, isn't that right, Bree? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about him
his
coaching
college
in the
head
NBA.
coaching resume, and then starting the NBA. Okay, gotcha.
So just pass to me about NBA, then I'm going to talk a little bit about his coaching style and how that was first started from the NBA.
Sounds great, Bree. I hear you.
Perfect.
Andy Enfield has coached some teams known for their offense. 11 years at USC before taking over the job here at SMU. And, of course, Florida Gulf Coast, their Lob City lineup back 2011 through 2013. But Brianna Sorensen, here's the deal. It kind of all goes back to his NBA days.
That's right, like you just said, he had quite the college basketball resume, but he first got started coaching in the NBA. He was a shooting guard for the Milwaukee Bucks from 94 to 96, and then an assistant coach for the Celtics from 98 to 2000. He said that's how he got his style of play on offense. In the NBA, they don't call a lot of plays. They trust their players to play based on the situation, to make the right pass or the right shot. He said that's what they're hoping to get out of this SMU team with time and experience.
And the SMU players, Brian, have said that's the biggest thing about this, whole coaching staff. But Coach Enfield specifically, he creates a belief in you, creates freedom and confidence, and really builds you up.
Yeah, and I love what A.D. Rickard had to say about him. He's a big-time college basketball coach, shares the high expectations we have for the program. He embraces that. He's done it at a school like ours, in a city like ours, and in a conference similar to the one that we're headed into. That's what AD had to say at the press conference introducing Coach Enfield, and seems like it's been a perfect match so far this early on.
Absolutely, and Andy Enfield said, hey, if not for SMU going to the ACC, I mean, I wouldn't be in Dallas right now. He knew where he wanted to be. He wanted to coach against some of those best programs still if he was going to move on from USC, which wasn't a given. It was a choice for him to move from the West Coast to Dallas.
Yeah, had multiple years left on his contract, decided to get a new start, do it one more time, he said to his wife and family. And similar story because when he got to USC, they hadn't won yet at the high level in a long time, and he really established that program, making it all the way as far as to the Elite Eight, not to mention NBA players coming from that program, including Bronny James. And I would imagine Mustangs fans would love the idea of being able to not only go to the NCAA tournament, but make a run like the Elite Eight and have those type of players.
Speaking of sons of NBA greats, number 8 is in the game, Shaquille O'Neal. O'Neal called for the travel, but he is the youngest son of NBA Hall of Famer, TNT broadcaster Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq was pretty good, I think, wasn't he?
He was. Shaq couldn't shoot like he can, though. Chuck Harris, he can shoot, though. 202 triples in his career as he knocks down his first tonight.
Only a matter of time with this SMU team. So much offensive firepower. Can you sustain defensive stops to slow down a program like this?
And with an 8-0 run for SMU over the last minute and a half, Coach Traore calling timeout for Florida A&M with SMU taking their largest lead at 7 here early on in Dallas. The Mustangs love to shoot it from deep. Out of the timeout, SMU riding an 8-0 run over the last minute and a half with a 7-point lead on Florida A&M. John Little back with Brian Burton and our entire ESPN crew, including Brianna Sorensen on the sideline here on the ACC network. Washington banging his way into the painted area. That is a tough floating shot and off the mark by Caleb Washington. Chuck Harris gets bumped from behind. Washington creates the steal. Sterling Young started this game with 7 points, but he gets swatted away by Ambrose Hilton. Can SMU turn it into offense? George, diving baseline. Misses off the underside of the rim. This SMU team wants to get up and down as quickly as possible. They had 28 fast break points in Monday's victory over Tarleton.
Yeah, and it all starts with stops. Coach Enfield talked about that in the post-game press conference as well. When they're able to get stops, they can get out and run in transition and play fast like they like to, especially off the turnover.
Tips, deflections, that's what it's all about. The three-pointer out of the corner is off the mark. FAMU now down to 3 of 10 from outside after starting so hot. Edwards got the start, had a career-high 13 against Tarleton on Monday. Deflected pass. Nice job by Matthews to knock it into the air. And now Young back the other way. Young flashing down the lane. Right past Harris for 2.
Yeah, a team that feels like they belong right now. They're getting stops and getting deflections themselves and using those same turnovers to lead to easy buckets on the other end.
So Milton Matthews has 5, 8 for Sterling Young. They've got 15 of the 19 here for Florida A&M. Offensive rebound by B.J. Edwards. And the Tennessee transfer sticks it in, plus the foul.
Yeah, what a transformed player he is from last year. Doing the little things. He's always been a talented young man, but hasn't had the college success yet. But this is a breakout season so far with a career high in the opener. Coaches rave about his offseason work, how he's rededicated himself to the game, lives in the gym, and the coaches have just infused confidence in him, and B.J. Edwards has responded.
He ended up starting most of last season, but was more of a stat stuffer, a role player, and maybe he's still a role player on this particular team, but I think it's going to be a bigger role this year.
Well, I think the offensive confidence wasn't there. He was always a great defender last year. He would find guys. He would make a lot of the scrappy winning plays, but 13 points in the opener says he's not only confident to do those same things, but he's confident to get some buckets as well. Shooting the 3 much better also than he did last season.
Late in the shot clock now. That is now where FAMU wants to be. And Aquendo takes it away inside the lane. Quickly up the floor. Edwards flying for 2.
Edwards said, don't forget I was one of the top-rated point guards coming out. The former 4-star in transition. Could have had a highlight himself, decided just to lay it in.
Number 71 overall by Rivals when he came out. Well, now 3 seasons ago. Can the Rattlers get back to some of the offensive success they had earlier? Young gets fouled out front, and FAMU will hold on to it when we come back. But SMU now in the midst of a 12-2 run over the last 4 minutes. And defense turning into offense in Dallas.
just under 8 minutes left in the first half. SMU leads 28-19 over Florida A&M. And if you look at Florida A&M's pre-conference schedule, you'll see teams like TCU, Maryland, Florida, Clemson, Utah, BYU, and you might just ask yourself why they're giving themselves a hard schedule to start the season. Well, Coach Prairie has an answer to that. He said when you play really good teams, you can max out on the areas you need to improve on. He said our goal is to go to the NCAA tournament, and we will for sure play against teams like these ones. So we need to learn the level, learn the speed, and then learn the physicality of these teams. We're using this time to improve and get better.
Thank you so much, Bree. And then, Brian, it's also out of necessity for their athletic department as well.
Yeah, it's part of what happens at smaller schools. You play against the bigger schools so you could be able to fundraise not only for your program but for the athletic department as a whole. And we talked earlier about the defensive, what will make this defensive SMU team good, and they have so much versatility. Right now you see them playing small ball, so many, again, switchable defenders with speed and length, cover so much ground and get so much activity. Another turnover forced for transition.
And Miller in the open floor sets up George out of the corner, and A.J. George ring it up, or rather B.J. Edwards, my apologies, ring it up from three. You mentioned his three-point shooting. It's gotten better and better.
Yeah, no hesitation right now. Just letting it fly. And then there you see diving on the floor for a loose ball. Have to love that energy here in Moody. That is how you're going to be able to create some Moody magic no matter who you play. That kind of grit and determination and toughness. Love what the strength coach, Coach Schultz, Curtis Schultz, had to say about this team. He said, what sticks out to you about this team? And he said, in the summer, there was about 3 or 4 guys in a practice in the summer that were diving on the floor for loose balls out of bounds. And that's when he knew this team had a chance to do some special things. And there you see an example of it right there.
And they're creating turnovers, and they're deciding that 50-50 balls are theirs. You see that Patrick Crary II doesn't necessarily agree with how the call came out here. Jeff Pond, the ACC official, along with Clarence Armstrong and Isaac Barnett, explaining the situation as SMU continues their big run. They had a huge run first half in the Tarleton win, a 32-3 run. Right now, it's a 17-2 run over 5 minutes.
He's so explosive offensively, but again, it goes back to getting stops. You see the extra ball movement, multiple guys who can touch the paint, and the physicality from Boopie Miller. Love his toughness that he plays with. And going back to that loose ball, Boopie Miller was the one on the floor who dove on the floor, a guy who had 21 points in the last game, sacrificing his body. He's been to the line multiple times already in this game, and just such a physical, attacking downhill guard. Can still create for teammates, had 7 assists, 1 turnover, can make it from the 3. I mean, just a guy who can easily be in that conversation for all ACC.
And after showtime on Monday, he was really confident. This is just the beginning. He told Bree, hey, get your popcorn ready, everybody. This is going to be a special season.
Shout out to Terrell Owens.
Yeah, you have to.
In the same city, get your popcorn ready. He knows.
Absolutely. Miller, who has some family actually in Mesquite, which is about 20 minutes east of Dallas, says he feels comfortable being in the Dallas area. You mentioned him being from the Chicagoland area and also playing his high school, senior year in high school, I should say, at Victory Rock Prep in Bradenton, Florida. 7 points for Boopie Miller. SMU continues to extend the advantage over a FAMU team really fighting hard early. Trey Lewis III on for the first time. What has SMU changed up defensively to make it so tough?
Well, Coach talked about it over and over again. Playing hard is the biggest goal right now. And they are selling out. They're so active. You know, you may get a deflection or miss a deflection, but they're so fast to recover. I think the speed and the intentionality has turned up, and their intensity.
Oquendo on the drive falls down. Miller re-enters the paint on his fadeaway. It does not fall, but a good-looking shot by Boopie Miller.
Yeah, anytime you just barely miss that shot, that's when you know that's a shot he works on and he practices.
He's 3 of 5 from the floor. Three-pointer again, in and out. Matthews tracks down the rebound. It's a big one. The rotation, somebody's open. Chapman is the one, but he misses off the rim. And here comes SMU 3-on-1, no look, extra pass, Colbert flush.
The unselfishness. Let's feed the big man. He's running the floor, getting down, twinkle toes almost for Colbert in the end.
And he's the one that contested the three-point attempt.
Absolutely. Reward the big man.
No doubt.
You can just see the unselfishness of this team. They don't care who gets the credit. We talked about the depth. 6 guys scoring in double figures last game.
Colbert fouls Burnside.
So many options right here. You see Boopie looking the floor, gives the no look, and knew BJ was going to give the one more to the big fella.
SMU on the fast break. They were explosive on Monday with 28 points on the fast break to just 11 for Tarleton. That foul going on SMU's Colbert was his 3rd, so he has to take a seat. 6th team foul on SMU. They're out of team fouls in the first half. Sterling Young, 16 in the opener at TCU, the transfer from Charlotte. Now in the post. Hard post up by Eatman. Right back outside. Young in rhythm, 3 rolls out.
Well, what's leading to this run is mainly the stops on the other end, along with a little bit of making it rain from downtown.
Miller back in double figures for the 2nd time in his SMU career, and he also puts the lead at 21. And going to the free throw line, FAMU after the Chuck Harris foul.
Talking to the coaching staff, they talked about getting kills, which is 3 stops in a row is a huge key. After getting those stops, being able to play in transition, not many better at being able to score and make decisions than number 2 for SMU.
They're getting stops over their last 5 from the field for FAMU, and that free throw breaks a 4-minute scoring drought for Florida A&M.
Well, just explosive in the 16-0 run, a 24-2 run before that. That's what this team can do. And you know, you think about an Andy Enfield team, and many times people think about the offensive end, but this team has already proven that they are gritty on the defensive end. And it starts with Mr. Miller, the head of the snake.
The word's getting out in Dallas. Already been a great transition to the ACC for so many of their programs as Traore gets raked going up, loses it out. Last touch by Traore looked like it scraped off his leg and out. Brian Burton and Brianna Sorensen and our entire ACC Network crew. I'm John Little. Game 2 of the season for both these teams. FAMU with a long 1-week trip to play 3 power programs to start the season. After this, they go to Maryland, and they won't have touched their home beds in something like 11 days after all this. As Traore turns quickly inside, it's fouled by Jadarius Eatman and will hit the line for 2 on the other side. SMU down early to Florida A&M, but they have turned it around against the Rattlers. Like one of those products you see on TV, new and improved. Florida A&M did lose their top 6 leading scorers from it last season. A rebuilt roster for Patrick Creary, but he did tell us, hey, I have never had a bad team with good kids. He went out and tried to find some good kids.
Yeah, and he's done a great job in his career, again, of being able to put together. The thing about the NAI level is you have to be able to put together rosters fast, just like this. So coaches like Coach Creary have that experience. He's had, again, 6 20-win seasons, been a couple times. He's been Coach of the Year, and he's had 5 guys sign pro contracts from the NAI level. So recruiting is not a distant thing for him, something he's very familiar with and good at. But recruiting at this level, he said there's a lot of people that want to come to FAMU. So he's excited about the fact they're in Florida. That he said he went to Duncanville while he was here in town. They have a national brand when it comes to FAMU and their alumni base, as you mentioned. So he's excited. He talks about relationships and then championships. He wants to build relationships with his young men. And you can see it's already working. Even though the score may not be indicative, they have really played and fought very well against a very good SMU team.
I think there's a lot to be excited about in Tallahassee as Harris decides to take it himself the whole way. He was played pretty well on that break up the floor. And for FAMU, like we said, they're in the midst of playing 7 Power 4 teams before going into conference play. And at the coaches meeting at the SWAC preseason meeting, the youngest coach in the league at 41, Creary, kind of taken under the wing by the elder statesman and said, but they had something important to talk to him about, because they all have to go through it, these really tough schedules. And they talked about how to keep your team together and in the right mindset during this time.
Yeah, he talked about, too, coming from the NAI level, you're playing other NAI teams during your preseason. You're trying to win a national championship and compete and things from that nature from the beginning. So this is he said it's the first time I've seen a Power 4 team up close. First time I've coached against one. So it's a new experience for him, but again, winning ingredients are winning ingredients. And when you know how to win, yes, he has to learn this level as he talked about, but what it takes with those young men I've already shown in the first half of this first half, if they can continue to build on those kind of moments, it's going to be a very exciting time. Not only this season, but I think anyone who knows Coach Creary knows FAMU is going to be a program to be reckoned with very soon.
Cookies for B.J. Edwards, and he heads to the line. Milton Matthews, who had to take it away, commits the foul.
Yeah, again, when you have 2 defensive-minded guards who can also score, and Miller and Edwards, and not talking about anyone else that doesn't have that mentality, but those 2 starting backcourt guards will pick you up 94 feet. They have the tenacity, the length. They'll dive on the floor for a loose ball. They set the tone for this team. Talking to their coaching staff, having 2 point guards start. You have extra leadership, got a little extra speed, a little unselfishness, but both of these guys can really score, and it's awesome to see B.J. Edwards coming into his own in his college career.
And then you've also got Chuck Edwards on the floor. You know, they're right behind B.J. Edwards, who started last year at the point guard spot for SMU. Really, right now, you've got 3 guys who are capable of running the floor for SMU. What does that do when you can put all 3 on the floor at the same time?
Well, it gives you speed, it gives you playmaking. Coach Enfield loves guards that can touch the paint and create offense, not only for themselves, but for others. And all those guys are unselfish, and any of those guards can go off for 20-plus on any given night. And there you see more defense leading the offense with a little razzle and dazzle for the finish with the left hand for Mr. Miller from Chi-Town.
Get used to saying it. Boopie Miller taking over Dallas. He's got a dozen and a stoppage here. Timeout called by Florida A&M. FAMU facing a 25-point deficit for the first time in this half. Boopie Miller getting in the passing lane, getting on the scoreboard. She's got the Michael Jackson Usher glove going on here. I'd like to know what that's all about. But it's been showtime for SMU so far. Mustangs looking for a 2-0 start and up big 46-21 on Florida A&M. Brian Burton and Brianna Sorensen. I'm John Little, and I'll tell you one thing, these three athletic guards who can really defend, they're making it tough on Florida A&M on the exterior. Washington inside, Burnside and Harris called for the foul.
Well, that's a perfect example. You have the bigs showing on the screen, so you have two on the ball, and then they do a bounce pass to a man who's actually open rolling to the rim, but because of the speed of SMU, they almost get a steal, not only in the front, but the backside. That is what makes this team so dangerous, is on the defensive end. They have, again, just such a commitment to getting stops. You can just see it in how they're approaching the game, and a lot of connectedness. Tell there's definitely a great level of camaraderie and cohesion already early in the year, which that's hard to do with all the transfers and all the turnover that happens in college basketball right now. This SMU team is definitely firing on all cylinders on the defensive end.
This smaller lineup, will this be a lineup you think that they'll even be able to take on some ACC programs with, or is this just Andy Enfield, you know, trying some things? As Miller cuts baseline off the feed from Edwards.
I think when you have toughness, it doesn't matter necessarily your size. You have toughness, you have the heart, you have the skill. I think this roster has a ton of versatility as far as lineups. You're going to be able to play big, you're going to be able to play small. Again, we have some players that haven't even really gotten a chance to get in a groove and really play at all yet. So there's a lot of promise, and this young man, Young, is definitely destined for a big season. He is a bucket getter.
And he got buried on the depth chart with the Charlotte 49ers, a really good team in the American that SMU knows about. His Traore comes up short, but given a chance here at Florida A&M, he's got back-to-back double-digit games as Washington flies in and makes it a 5-0 run. Timeout by Andy Enfield. It's his user to lose at timeout. It's a little bit of what FAMU wants to do this season. They want to shoot the three. They want to get out and run as well. It's obviously a different level at this point between the two, but two guys who are very similar in that they want to run pro styles and give their guys some freedom. Yeah, and Coach Crary talked about it. We're going to have to pick our spots this time of year and not be able to play always as fast as we would like. Sure. And play a little more control in the half court, because you don't want to make it a track meet always on the road playing against Power 4 teams. But you can see flashes, a lot of glimpses, a lot of flashes. Again, love his temperament and his poise on the sideline. Sometimes in these games you want to win so bad, or you want your team to perform so well, you can kind of lose your cool, but he has a great connection with his team. His team continues to respond with these little runs, and you can see what this FAMU program is going to be about. They definitely have the talent. They have the size. Three-point shooting has not been as outstanding as he wants tonight. They do have 4 that they've been able to make, but as this team continues to be battle-tested, it'll be fun to see what they do in their conference. Yeah, they could be a factor in the SWAC. With as new as this team is, of course, they were picked near the bottom of the SWAC, but we know those preseason polls don't matter. 11th out of the 12 teams in that good basketball league. Out of the corner, the first shot of the evening doesn't go down for Tibet Goriner, who had a pretty nice day, especially defensively in his opener. As you look at the fast break points for these two teams, SMU outscoring FAMU on the break, 19-4 so far.
Well, give it to Young, too. We talked about him being able to score and get buckets, but he's had some terrific assists and dimes in the paint to the bigs around the rim. And see what they can do in this last 20 seconds. Can they get a little bit of momentum going into the half, cut this lead down from over 20?
20 to shoot. Sterling Young, outstanding in junior college, an all-conference player at Pratt Community College, playing in one of the top conferences in the nation, JUCO-wise, and then playing well enough to get a chance at Charlotte as Young slashes inside, just misses down low. We got a wedgie. We're staying right here. We have 22.9 left in the first half.
That was kind of an exciting moment for you, I feel like.
Most people don't get excited about wedges.
I don't know about you guys at home. I don't know if most people get excited about wedges, but my friend John here does.
Well, with the great invention of boxer briefs, it's just not something I get to experience very often. So
I don't even know what's happening right now. 20 seconds on the shot clock, 22 on the game clock. They will likely hold for one, but this SMU team so good at forcing turnovers. Do not be surprised if they're able to get something happen here too.
Caleb Washington, who started Monday against TCU, held the 3 points in his 19 minutes. Going to work with 5 on the shot clock. Around the screen, slithering toward the cup. And he will hit the line after the foul on Oquendo for SMU. Now, this is a guy who has played at higher levels in Caleb Washington. He started his career at Dayton and actually spent 3 seasons in Dayton with that top flight program before going to Butler Community College and now here on to Florida A&M. Former top 100 player in high school. I mean, you can see it. He is an ultra athletic and long wing.
Yeah, that's the thing you love about the current time. There's some things people probably don't like about the transfer portal, but you have to love the stories of guys who have been able to go to a high level. They belong in the program. They're good enough to be there, but they're just not quite getting the minutes that they would like. They get to transfer to another opportunity, play a bigger role, as you see here with 2 guards for Florida A&M.
Miller at the end of the half, the 3, it goes, and SMU finishes with 51 in the first half as Boopie. Thomas in the Miami area, where he was the head coach for 3 years. Before that, the head coach at Washington Adventist University. SMU starting off looking for that backdoor lob, and just a little bit missed time between Boopie Miller and Oquendo, Cario Oquendo, who had the Sports Center highlight in game 1. He was looking for another one here in game 2.
Would have been a great way to start the half and get the crowd on their feet. Not able to execute that time.
So can the Rattlers make some shots? Young, great tough contest by Miller. Crawls over the top, SMU ball. Young in the first half. 4 of 12 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3. There's 11 points and 3 assists. Just 1 turnover helping lead the way for Florida A&M as they're trying to stay in it. But SMU had some big runs in the first half, including 16-0. Miller slips it in. Traore goes low to the ground to grab it, and he's fouled.
Yeah, great job execution that time. Ball screen. You see the pocket pass to the rolling Traore to the rim. Again, great ball movement and player movement. No hesitation there. So open that it had a chance to bounce off of his knee before he gathered it back up. And just so many weapons on this SMU team, starting with the guard play, but this front line. Coach Prairie talked about it, the front line on this SMU team, so mobile, can play kind of inside, can play outside, so much speed, putting pressure on the rim as you saw just there on the roll.
And the guards making them better as well. Miller with a great pass. Oquendo going after the rebound. And SMU will have it after another foul on Florida A&M, thanks to the hustle by Cario Oquendo.
There's so much hustle on this team. Again, the emphasis has been playing hard. And here you see, again, another example of that, just not quitting on the play.
SMU immediately off the entry pass, able to get a bucket. And the Mustangs continue to advance their lead out to 54-29 thanks to the B.J. Edwards dunk. Edwards already has 11 in back-to-back double-digit games to start the season. 25-point lead again for SMU, matching their largest. Into the post. Coming up short, Sterling Young. SMU so good when they're running. Ambrose Hilton licks it out. But somehow Edwards keeps the foot on the ground. Oquendo the trailing 3. No. That would have been a highlight. Young was able to flip it past Oquendo for 2.
FAMU also good in transition. And here you see another dial up from distance. Not probably the exact shot coach wanted on that one, but
Miller absolutely convinced that he was hit on the way by Sterling Young. Miller, it's lifted here after that shot. Still 17 in this one, and Andy Enfield, first-year head coach with of SMU will bring him in to talk about it.
Yeah, love that coach wanted to get that first 2 minutes, reminding Miller he sets the tone, and wanted to have a couple teaching moments there, as it is a long season and you want to make sure all the execution that is desired is being focused on.
Washington firing up the three, the 19th attempt for Florida A&M, but that's kind of on par for them. They want 30-plus threes most nights.
Yeah, 34, I believe, in the opener, one of the scrimmages. I think it was 37 or 39. They definitely want to put up the three.
Great ball movement by SMU. Ambrose Hilton finishes with the dunk.
And SMU says, while you shoot threes, we'll take it inside. More points in the paint. Another dunk above the rim for the front line of this SMU club, but directly from an assist from the guard play.
SMU had a big lead at the half over Tarleton. Tarleton slipped back into it thanks to some lack of focus by SMU. They started turning it over just a little bit, and the Mustangs would love to see them get away from that in the second half.
You just look at the ball move. It literally touched all three guards' hands before going directly inside for an easy finish. Again, just the unselfishness from this team. 11 assists at the half. Already started this half with a few more. And Young continuing to want to lead his team. Will his team, the transfer from Charlotte, in his first start for FAMU, and he has looked very good this evening.
14. It's what he had to go after the 16 points that he had at Fort Worth on Monday. So Young already averaging 15, and we've got a long time to go in this game. Young only playing 5 games for Charlotte last year, a really good club. But seeing an opportunity to possibly star at Florida A&M and paying early dividends for Patrick Prairie. Chuck Harris. Colbert flashing inside. Gives it up. Cross-court pass. Traore wide open from the corner. Bangs it down.
And more roster versatility. The big stepping out, stretching the floor with the corner three, and another example of the great ball movement from this SMU squad.
What do you think of Yohan Traore? He's so big and bouncy, and if he can add that to his game, I mean, the sky's the limit, right?
I mean, again, another one of those top players coming out of high school. Started his career at Auburn, had a very productive. Speaking of production, been talking about SMU finishing above the rim. The and-one dunk off of the post-up. Beautiful footwork. Here you see it, spin baseline and just taking a little bit of flight, a little bit of flex as well, John.
Zaid Burnside transferring in from Conner State, where he only averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds a game on a pretty deep team. But he has started his FAMU career with back-to-back 8-point efforts, and this and one, the chance to bring Florida A&M a little closer.
You see the King James logo on FAMU's uniforms. Coach Prairie said the only LeBron James sponsored team, I believe he mentioned.
Look at that.
And talked about they have, since they just came out November 1st, they didn't get a chance to get their new edition LeBron James shoes. He said, if I could go back, I would have flown back just to get the shoes.
They're waiting back on campus.
They're waiting for him. And he said, I believe they'll make us that much better on the floor because the players, if they look good, they feel good, they play good.
Little nod to Dion there for sure. Coach Prime.
He knows a little bit about the swag.
Yeah, he does. Jackson State football coach, now at Colorado, was Traore. We talked about being bouncy. Lays one in. Yohan Traore, the transfer from UC Santa Barbara, had a big year last year, leading the Big West in effective field goal percentage. One of that bigger tests in the ACC is passing it so far for SMU.
Yeah, familiar with Dallas. Played his AAU ball for Southern Assault here in the city, in the Metroplex.
We'll get a chance to talk a little bit more about Traore after he's fouled by Shaq's son, Shakir O'Neal. The SMU Mustangs continuing to lead big over the Rattlers.
From fans and alums to DFW businesses and Fortune 500 companies, the Boulevard Collective convenes this network to elevate SMU student athletes with marketing opportunities that will enhance their brand and empower their personal passions. Visit boulevardcollective.com or scan the QR code on the screen to join.
Here in Dallas, Mustangs Nation is mourning the loss of Brian Robbins, the Hall of Fame diver, a five-time Southwest Conference champion diver and three-time All-American in the 1960s, and then the diving coach here at SMU for more than a decade, guiding the Mustangs to titles and NCAA top 10 finishes. He's also the Southwest Conference Diving Coach of the Year in 1975 and 79, and even coached three Hall of Famers as well. Our hearts go out to the family of Brian Robbins, who passed away on Saturday. A shining light in the history of another great SMU Mustang program, the swimming and diving program here in Dallas. Here on the basketball floor, SMU on top of Florida A&M, 63-35. Less than 5 minutes in to the second half. The new look SMU Mustangs continue their upcoming schedule by hosting UNC Greensboro on Monday and on the road at Butler next week. That will be the return of SMU star guard Chuck Harris to the place where he played for 3 years. Then another SWAC program in Prairie View A&M before taking on Mississippi State at home on the 22nd of November. John Little back alongside Brian Burton, Brianna Sorensen, and our whole crew. A moving screen out front. The Rattlers gives it back to the SMU Mustangs.
Yeah, first big road test playing a Big East team. As you mentioned, the return of Chuck Harris, where he starred for Butler. Going on the road, hasn't played on the road yet, and that'll be their first road test. And then that Mississippi State game will also be a major test against another power conference school in the SEC, a multiple-time tournament program under Chris Jans.
Rare giveaway for the Mustangs, and right back the other way. FAMU able to lay it in with Tyler Shirley. Got the start in this game, but finally on the board, hop into the hoop, and one.
A good job of just, again, not quitting at any point in time. If you really look at the score of this half, this is how FAMU started the beginning of the game, leading kind of those first 7 or 8 minutes, and they're not leading in this one, but only down, I believe that would be 2 points, 10-8 in this half so far. Those are the little games within the game that Coach Crary and his staff are keeping track of to say, hey, we've proven we can do it. Now we have to see how we can do it over longer stretches.
And on the other side, Andy, Enfield talked about how for 40 minutes, we just want to play how we play. We don't want to think about the score. If we've got a big lead, that does not matter. We want to play with the attitude and effort that we know it's going to take to win big in college basketball this year.
Yeah, playing hard, playing the right way, doing the little things that they preach and that they want to instill, that they know they will need going forward. And sometimes when you have those big leads, John, it's hard to keep the focus on some of those little things. I would say overall, SMU's done a terrific job. It is a game of runs. You'd expect a good, well-coached team to go on a run, and this SMU team starting to pick up a little bit of fouls here.
Yeah, Chuck Harris's third foul, fourth team foul of the second half on SMU. They did get Boopie Miller back in at the last opportunity. And most recently, as Traore sits down, Keon Ambrose Hilton, who always brings the energy on as SMU looks to recreate the energy they had for that big stretch of the first half where they took the large lead.
The other part that makes this SMU defense so good is they don't have to recover and rotate very often unless it's a trap that they chose to do. So good at keeping their defenders in front of them, as you see right there. But the second chance effort by FAMU, relentless on the glass. Mr. O'Neal, is that O'Neal right there?
Yeah, Shakir O'Neal with the offensive rebound, and he gets fouled on the stick back attempt. Grew up in LA, of course, but then went to high school or finished high school at Union Grove out in Georgia, going to the Houston area to play at Texas Southern for 3 years, and now he's at another SWAC school in Florida A&M for his first season.
He's been very productive in this one. You can see his activity on the glass, great free throw form, and getting some new life under a new head coach down in Florida.
Oquendo going baseline, deflected as he goes up, and O'Neal comes out with it. And the Rattlers trying to cut into the lead on the crossover. Young into the paint, around the shot blocker, can't hit it. Dorner in transition, nobody picks him up. He can't knock it down either. Mustangs in a little bit of a drought offensively, and they're 5 of 13 from 3 in this matchup.
Yeah, just one of their last 7 field goals have hit a little bit of a lull. Probably want to get something going back to the free throw line or getting back to the paint. Kind of getting a higher percentage shot when you're in this kind of a drought. Meanwhile, for Florida A&M, you want to build on this momentum and see if you can continue to cut down this lead.
No doubt, as Boopie Miller picks up his second foul, and now that's 6 on SMU. So for the rest of the game, FAMU will be in the bonus from here on out. The Mustangs pick up full court, and that means free throws as Miller, before the inbound pass, whistled for his third.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about this half, the game within the game. It's 12 SMU in the second half to 11 FAMU. So if they're able to connect on these couple free throws, it's kind of one of those small things. The scoreboard is much bigger, and of course they want to cut it there. And then SMU just wants to clean up on the offensive side and the defensive side. Defend without fouling, get some high-quality shots, and kind of get back into your rhythm.
First free throw by Washington ties his career high, which was 5 when he was playing for Dayton back in 2022 against Toledo, but he'll have much bigger games than that this season for Patrick Prairie. Give him 6 and a new career high as he knocks down both ends of the 1-and-1. SMU's lead is down to 21. Closest it's been in a while. After the trap of Miller, Harris has it. Back to Miller, throws it away, and right in front of the sideline, Lewis steps out. SMU will keep it.
Again, you just see the belief that's happening for FAMU. Again, they're not playing the scoreboard, they're playing each possession, and those are the building blocks that you build a new program and a foundation on.
Just a huge adjustment and big-time turnaround from Monday at TCU, where they lost by more than 40 as Harris retreats behind the three-point arc and bangs down a triple.
Harris just so dangerous. I mean, that was good defense. Extended 2 hands up. Doesn't matter. Number 3 connects from 3.
He's got that deep range. He's 2 for 2 from outside. Harris was a career best 41% from 3 last season for SMU. Mustangs back out to a 24-point advantage.
Yeah, and a guy who scored points his entire career, but last season was incredibly efficient, as you mentioned, at 41% from 3. Also did a great job distributing, finding teammates, being more of a playmaker, and now him not having to have kind of that sole or primary ball handling responsibility. Gets to play with 2 other guards who can do it the same. Makes for a much lighter load and much more off his shoulders.
Washington stepping back against the shot clock, rolls it off. Offensive rebound, O'Neal, but the stick back does not go for Shakir. Harris driving to the paint. He gets stripped going up and sliding out of bounds. Jordan Chapman loses it out. SMU keeps it after Chapman's strategic play.
Yeah, a lot of fight, a lot of physicality from FAMU. Again, not backing down. Good job in transition. The speed of Harris, but contested it, almost able to get a stop.
The Rattlers have really settled down on both ends here, and they've found some things that are working. But out of the high post, Ambrose Hilton takes it to the cup.
Yeah, the beautiful baseline out of bounds there by Coach Enfield and the staff. A lot of action, and then led to an isolation that Ambrose Hilton ran an easy drive and hoop.
Hilton has another double-figure game. 10 points on 5 of 6 shooting. He's done it in just 13 minutes.
Yeah, just so efficient, so high motor. One of those guys, just a winning basketball player. And O'Neal is getting in his groove. Almost got the last offensive rebound. Didn't quite get it. Doesn't stop there on the drive. Doesn't mind the shot blocker in his way. I'm going to finish anyway.
Yeah, Shakir starting to come alive as Miller weaves through traffic. No-look pass up to George cutting baseline.
Beautiful pass there. Again, the chemistry, the unselfishness, the easy buckets.
Assist number 15. From the wing, the three-point bomb goes for Jordan Chapman. Chapman, a 34% three-point shooter for his career. The only returning starter for Florida A&M is on the board. The game opening back up after a lull. Miller driving into the zone, rolling it up, and Lewis comes down with the board. Long pass ahead. Chapman against Oquendo, hanging and hitting.
The Rattlers doing exactly what Coach wanted to do in this game. They haven't been able to do it the entire 40 minutes, or excuse me, the entire 30 minutes of this ball game, but boy, have they been impressive with their fight coming out of the half, leading 2019 in this half.
Jordan Chapman has the last 5 for Florida A&M. Rattlers have hit their last 3 field goals.
11 minutes left in the second half. SMU leads 70-49 over Florida A&M. And I spoke to Keon Ambrose Hilton after the last game against Tarleton State, where they had 6 players in double digits at the end of the game. And I asked him if this was a surprise or expectation. He said that's an expectation for this team. Our team really loves moving the ball. Nobody on this team is selfish with making plays. He said on any given night, it can be anyone's night. And right now, we see 4 different Mustangs in double digits, with Miller, who has 17, Traore with 12, Edwards with 11, and Ambrose Hilton with 10. But Brian, there's still about 11 minutes left in this second half, so we might be able to see a few more make it to those double digits.
Oh, absolutely. This team is so explosive. As we've seen in the first 2 games, they can go on these huge runs. 24-2, I believe, was the first half run that they had, and a monstrous run in the first game. And all starts with the stops and the defensive end of the floor, though, that leads to kind of those easy baskets and that unselfishness. But good to see them get back to the line to get some easy baskets. I'm sure Coach Enfield and staff, something they have been emphasizing. We have to be able to get more quality possessions to get that efficiency on offense.
Free throws number 17 and 18 tonight for SMU, and Traore knocks down both. He had only 2 at the half. He's got 12 in the second half, showing his ability to score in bunches very quickly.
Yeah, I think he's a young man that's going to get better and better as the year goes on. And it's not about the talent, but he's in a great system that really fits him, utilizing his skills and his versatility and playing with some great guards in a system that also really fits him. And there you see down low, you saw him make a 3 earlier. You've seen him roll on the pick and roll. There you see him with a post up and the strength and force, just drop, step, and draw the foul. A lot of talent with this young man. And definitely when the NBA scouts, they come through to watch the games in the ACC, he's a guy that has a lot of translatable skill and size because of his ability to shoot, because of his length, his athleticism. The best basketball is still ahead for Yohan Traore.
Out of Tours, France, then moved to the U.S. to play at Dream City Christian School in Glendale, Arizona, where he was a top 10 player coming out of high school. Started the career at Auburn and then on to UC Santa Barbara, where he had a great season in the Big West last year. Now starting to come alive for SMU as well, with double figures in each of the first 2 matchups. Chapman on the spin. Chapman keeps the pivot foot on the ground, but Traore picks out the rebound. And SMU wants to get back to their running ways. Limited fast break opportunities in the second half of this game. Traore wants it, demands it. Traore now in the post. No shot. He'll go back to the line, though, for a 1-and-1 after the foul on the floor on Saeed Burnside.
Yeah, we find ourselves talking so much about the dynamic guards on this team. You almost can easily forget about the production of a Traore or a Ambrose Hilton. And yeah, we talked about 2 of the forwards that are out, Cross, along with the highly touted freshman incoming that is pending some NCAA eligibility, but you can start to see the makings of what is a very promising ACC team once this team can be at full strength, pending that NCAA ruling as well.
Absolutely. Trying to get Samet Yigatulu eligible, a guy that averaged 13 points and 10 rebounds with Sigordum Istanbul in Turkey last year.
They said it came down to SMU and another ACC team with a little bit of history, North Carolina, for his final decision. Chose the Mustangs.
What a big win for SMU. And that shows, you know, and we'll talk about this as we go, how much success the Mustangs have had in a lot of different athletic endeavors here in the first semester in the ACC. But that's a big win as well. Those, you can't forget about winning those head-to-head recruiting battles.
Well, that's where you start winning the games. If you want to be honest, as a former college coach, you win games in the offseason by who you bring into your program. That is case in point, you can see it. I don't want to bring up a sore subject for Dallas people, but the Cowboys, you can see it. Case in point, what you do in free agency has a lot to do with it.
Same in the offseason, you bet.
Same thing with college basketball. When you bring in talented young men like they have brought in, it makes an enormous amount of difference of what you can do.
And Traore about as talented as they get. And if he can add this to his game, his shooting ability, both outside and from the free throw line, and be more consistent. Plus, he wants to gain strength as well. Man, the sky's the limit. So Traore in this one, almost a double-double level, as he's 10 of 12 from the foul line, 17 points, 9 rebounds for the big man from France. And while Boopie Miller has been held scoreless in the second half, Traore's taken over. Miller, great fake to get Washington up in the air and score.
There's so much savvy with Miller. So many guards. You only see him play at a couple different speeds. Miller has so much, again, just variation to his game, so much deception, so much in his bag, if you will. And not so much as flashy, but just smart, solid, good basketball player that just makes a lot of heady plays on the floor.
I love the way you put that. He's definitely a 6-speed type guy. As Matthews from the corner rains home a three. He hit more than 200 threes over the last 2 seasons for his head coach, and he's starting to do the work here at FAMU. What a move by Edwards, taking it baseline for the no-look reverse.
And gives a little bit of the eye to the crowd on the side. Like, yeah, you saw that.
That was a bombastic side up.
Yeah, didn't even touch it with the other hand. Again, that's what the hoopers would call lab work.
13 points in back-to-back games for Edwards to start his 24-25 season. And SMU getting out and running. Edwards been efficient too from the floor. 5 of 6. Edwards knocked off him and out of bounds with 8:20 to play in the second half, and SMU holding off very pesky Florida A&M team. Edwards gets a little bit of a rest as Aquendo comes back on for SMU. Harris is on as well to play the guard spot with Boopie Miller.
Yeah, and then talking to the coaching staff, we asked how are you able to kind of establish this chemistry and this identity so fast already. A lot of it starts in the summer. Sometimes we can forget how much they practice and have been practicing since June, building chemistry. But the staff gave a lot of credit to the 3 returners. He said Coach Lanier did a terrific job and his staff of building a winning program. So when we walked in, these guys were already ready to contribute, and Chuck Harris and Edwards and Ambrose Hilton, and had a real leadership with the locker room to be able to establish that. Then you bring in experienced players that already know how to do it, build some unselfishness, and then you get plays like this where you get 6 players in double figures last game. We're approaching something similar to that tonight if they can keep it going.
And Traore's first double-double as a Mustang, the second of his career, as he puts back the offensive rebound to give him 19 and 10. Another good night for SMU here in their first week under Andy Enfield, as SMU continues to get rattled by the personal fouls, about the only thing that hasn't gone SMU's way for most of the night. The Mustangs holding off Florida A&M in Dallas. Welcome back into Dallas, and last night at Washburn Soccer and Track Stadium, just across the way, the SMU Mustangs able to win their first ever ACC tournament game, taking down Boston College in the first round, 1-0. Another shutout for SMU, and
Goal!
Bailey Sparks off the beautiful corner kick feed from Kieran Chambron-Peno.
Let's go.
SMU moves on to the quarterfinals, and they'll take on Wake Forest at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on the ACC Network on Sunday.
I've never broadcasted soccer, but that was pretty fun. I'm not going to lie to
Well,
you.
you just did.
Hey.
You didn't see the end of that soccer match between Stanford and Notre Dame last night, did you?
I did not.
It was ACC After Dark. You know we have that now that we have the Pacific. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But
considering ACC
about,
is nationwide, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about a bomb from beyond midfield right as time was expiring to win that first round game. It was unbelievable. I got to get you into soccer broadcasting, man. Come over to the dark side with me. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I think you're supposed to know something about the sport. I don't know anything other than goal about soccer.
How much did you know about volleyball before you met your lovely wife?
I mean, I just listen to what she says.
See what I'm saying? And now you know everything.
My daughter is playing soccer, so I'm learning more. But yeah,
All right.
I still don't know what's going on.
Again, we'll get him to the dark side. Corner three, ring it up for SMU. 5 straight points for number 5, Tibet Coroner, the transfer from San Jose State.
Yeah, the explosiveness, transition threes, bigs that can stretch the floor, open the floor up. Again, just so much roster versatility and great backdoor execution there that time by the Rattlers.
I think Jordan Chapman's going to be a little bit of a problem here. You've got a guy at 6'4", 210, who's a wing, but then he rebounds like a 4-man. He averaged about 4 rebounds a game last year in a starting role, and he can hit the 3 as well. I like this kid. He's got 8 in the second half of this one.
Yeah, you talked about the schedule that they play and how hard it is, but when you can, as a player, get confidence scoring in double figures, having good moments against an SEC, ACC caliber team of SMU, definitely gives you confidence going into conference play and gives you confidence going into the next big conference road game. They have Maryland next, where Coach Crary gets to go home to the DMV. He's from DC originally, and that game will be sentimental for him for sure.
Boopie Miller's had a big encore after his 21-point effort on Monday. He's got 19. Colbert, short corner, can't hit it. The Kansas State transfer just denied by the rim. Still SMU leading by 29 here in the second half, outscoring FAMU 35-28. But how has FAMU calmed things down in the second half? Where are they playing better?
Well, a lot of it just has to do with not having that run. If you remember back to the SMU run, there was turnovers that led to a lot of that. They've taken care of the ball much better here in the second half. And again, they've gotten higher quality offensive possessions. Shot quality's been good. And then they just have a belief coming out of the locker room of, hey, if we take out the second 10 minutes and we play like we did that first 10 minutes, we can be in a much better position. They've done that.
Boopie outside to Harris. Miller gets it back. Miller on the hesitation, using all the speeds and heading to the line.
And as well as they've played the second half, they're still down 30 because of how dangerous this SMU team is. And again, part of what makes them good, their guard play, the physicality to get to the free throw line. They are now at the free throw line 20. This will be their 23rd and 24th attempts on the game.
That's another thing that Miller can do. When he's living the high life, he's getting to the free throw line.
I see what you did there.
What'd I do? I'm confused.
Just a physical guard who initiates contact. First hit often wins. It's not football, but it's similar to football in the fact that you can be an aggressive defender or offensive player and get that first hit. And Miller is a punishing guard who attacks with physicality and skill. Not able to connect on the second free throw.
Back-to-back 20-point efforts to start his career. He's also got 8 rebounds in this game as well. So he's rebounding his position well above average. Chapman coming to the top of the key to take his 3. It's off the mark, and Miller says, I want that one. He's hunting a double-double. Harris in transition. The assist to Miller. And SMU cooking again, up by 33.
So fast in transition, you have to sprint back and not only protect the rim, but get out to shooters. Great job by Miller finding his teammate Harris for the three.
And Miller again getting it up the floor with a nifty find to Harris on the two bouncer. Harris stepping back, trying the triple. Offensive rebound, Oquendo lobs it off. Colbert diving to the rim.
Again, more extra passes, another assist. Offensive rebound, Oquendo with a great pass to the diving Colbert.
That's dime number 20 of the night for SMU. On the other side, Florida A&M has 12 assists on their 16 made baskets, which is a good percentage. Problem is they're only hitting 31% of their shots, while SMU hitting at a 55% clip tonight.
Well, part of what has helped FAMU in the second half, they have gotten to the free throw line more. They've been more physical themselves. .96 in the opener. They have 92 so far with 4 minutes to go.
Now they're going to blow by it as Harris heads to the cup. And they're going to count that bucket. It is a goaltend. Shouldn't have blocked it. It was coming off the glass. Count this bucket for Chuck Harris.
And another basket in transition. And this is what wears you down against SMU. What has impressed me is that you have to earn your offensive possession to get them. They may not get a steal every time. They may not get a block every time, but they're so good and sound defensively. You're almost exhausted just getting a quality shot. And next thing you know, they are racing down the floor, make or miss. Wanted to get it up in 4 to 7. Getting it up in 4 seconds, I think 3 or 4 seconds. Getting a shot in the first 7 seconds if they can. Little old school Mike D'Antoni philosophy with the Phoenix Suns when Steve Nash was two-time MVP.
O'Neal going glass. He gets an and one with that right-handed drive against Traore. The SMU Mustangs, though, the 7-second rule working to perfection. SMU flying to a win over Florida A&M.
Three.
What'd you say, Jordan?
Don't you have something on? O'Neal?
On no. On
okay.
O'Neal, the Shaq kid?
Yeah. Did you say
no.
something about? Okay.
Oh no.
Just kidding. Maybe that was
Nothing
Jordan who
on
said
him.
that. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Brian, like I said, Brian has a pretty good connection with Amir. That's going to hit him hard. We'll let him. We'll let you pray about it and say whatever you want to say, man. Is that a good one?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What happened? Did he just get an infection? Or
I still don't know the details.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to.
Go ahead if you have something.
Yeah, I had heard that. I just didn't know if it was like an infection after surgery or anyway, or heart thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter that much, but yeah, just terrible. Just terrible. Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't know if anything else came out. I did hear that, yes. Thank you so much. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
First double-double as a Mustang? Absolutely.
Yep. Still heavy hearts in the men's basketball community. Amir Abdur-Rahim passing away just a few weeks ago, I should say. And Brian, I talked to you just after this happened. I know how hard this hit you, a friend of yours.
Yeah, a friend of mine, and just a guy who in college basketball, Jerome Tang, another friend and family member of ours, that said a guy who had no enemies. Very few people who didn't just absolutely love him. A guy who was always convicted and passionate and wanted to learn. Recruited some extremely talented players like Anthony Edwards, who's a star in the NBA right now, back when he was at Georgia. And what an amazing story. I mean, to be able to take
South
Kennesaw
Florida,
State before that, on that NCAA tournament run, from having no wins, transitioning from Division II, if I'm not mistaken, there recently, and now to go the next year, his first year in the American Conference, and take the conference by storm and win Coach of the Year and conference championship. He was one of the future faces and current faces of college basketball. He was going to carry a torch for many, many years, if not decades, and just an absolute tragedy. Still hard to believe, still hard to grasp. Coach Traore and I also are in a group with Coach Amir, a Be Ready family led by Coach Jerome Tang and Alvin Brooks III at Kentucky during the pandemic. Got a lot of coaches together and kind of built a little mini fraternity and a family, if you will. And just a special guy who always preached love wins. And I think if there's anything we can take from his legacy and his story, is just do things with passion, do things with excellence, strive to be elite, and know that love always wins.
Of course, the Abdur-Rahim family, such a big basketball family. I mean, figuratively and literally. His sister, Amira, who kind of shared his name, if you will, starred here at SMU on the basketball floor the last couple years, and so our hearts go out to the family. But it goes to show there was an extended family, the basketball family, that has been so rocked by Coach Amir's untimely passing.
Yeah, one of those that we'll be celebrating and talking about not only this season, but for seasons to come.
And you don't know why things happen. You never know why things happen, and it's beyond us to try to make sense of it right now. But you talk about the passion that he lived with. What do you think that we can take from his life and carry forward as we're on this side?
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things of that power of belief. You take a program like Kennesaw, who had very limited wins in the Division I level, to not only going to the NCAA tournament, winning games, then going to South Florida, winning the conference in the first year. I just think it's about having a belief inside yourself that you can do things that you believe you can do if you put in the work, and at the same time loving people. I mean, he is a father, a husband, a guy who, again, just celebrated other people willingly, and was not just about himself, but about serving this game that we all love. So whatever it is that you're passionate about, whatever it is you love, do it with all you have and love others along the way.
It's good stuff. Brian, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. 3 minutes left here. A guy that's believing in himself, Jacoby Hendricks, is transferring in from Indiana University Southeast, NAIA Division II level, where he scored 24 points a game. And, Florida A&M taking, I don't know, I guess you could say a chance on some of these guys from smaller schools, things like that. But Patrick Traore, he understands what it's like at that level. And, he kind of, like Coach Enfield, has a belief in his guys and will try to get the very most out of his dudes this year. Corner three going down. Again, it's Jordan Chapman, who's scoreless at the half, but he's busted out for 13 in the second half.
Yeah, we talk so much about the players that go from lower levels and move up and have these compelling stories, but in Coach Enfield, you think about Dunk City back in the day, 2013, took the world by storm with their NCAA tournament run and really changed his coaching career to where now not only did he have the great, enormous success at USC and turning around that program, but now starting it again with SMU. And gotta love that part about college athletics and college sports. And another three ball for the Mustangs.
For Chuck Harris, that's his fourth three of the game, and he has 15 points, 12 of those in the second half, as SMU has another night where now 5 are in double figures after putting 6 there on Monday, and they are just a point shy of 100. Hendricks pulls the trigger. That's exactly what he was doing in Indiana last year, hitting the 3 at a 43% clip.
Well, and going back to SMU, that simple ball screen action where you have pressure on the rim because you have such great rollers to the rim. Another 3-ball. Can't even quite get to explaining what's going on the offensive end because they just get another bucket.
I don't know what's happening. 10 threes now as Garner has his second of the second half. But
it all starts from a simple ball screen. The rim roller puts pressure on the rim, and then you have the guy who's raising on the same side, and then that time they hit the opposite guy for the 3. When you have 3-point shooting on the floor, it really makes you have to pick your poison literally, and SMU has so many threats and weapons. This is that NBA-style offense that Coach talks about that they run, and his time in the NBA, you can tell how it influences already when you see the way the Mustangs are playing.
Absolutely. You think about the bigs that have played today, the 4s and 5s, Garner, Traore, those guys can definitely hit the 3. Ambrose Hilton has been working on that. He's already tried one this year. Colbert's still trying to round into form with that part of his game, as the fan favorite Jackson Young is in to hoist triples and comes up just short. But obviously, this is going to be a fun team to watch for SMU. And you think about SMU, they were so close to making the NCAA tournament last year under Rob Lanier, transitioning. And there's hope in the fan base that even in this first year that Andy Enfield can do something pretty rare, which is, start with a new program and make it to the NCAA tournament.
Well, absolutely. When you play in a conference like the ACC, you don't have to win the conference. You just have to kind of be in the top half of those 18 teams. And, I think the good thing is you're seeing so much success. We talked about football, volleyball, soccer. SMU's already taken down the #1 program in volleyball. So 3 nationally ranked teams on this campus. There's no reason why SMU basketball can't get a chance to go dancing.
They may be a 4th at some point this season, starting out hot with another great offensive showing. The SMU Mustangs eclipse 100 for the first time under Andy Enfield with a 102-70.